Oh my God. What a hectic day today's been. I was in the middle of making a video predicated on an alleged book blurb that surfaced online, attributed to Lue Elizondo's upcoming book, only to later learn that it's fraudulent, and someone uploaded this fake blurb to Booktopia. So I basically had to start this video all over again. Whew. That being said, it's still true that Lue is publishing a new book. Lue Elizondo talks about it in the following clip from Vinny's YouTube channel Disclosure Team. Well, at least I get to salvage the following and my commentary afterward. Let's do this, baby.
I'd like to switch this round and first of all start off by congratulating you on the recent announcement that you're bringing out a book. So congratulations on that. Now,
thank you.
A lot of people saw this headline article within the Hollywood Reporter that the book will reveal shocking details. And now we all know what people on social media like. A lot are speculating and making claims that it's a pay-for-disclosure tactic, which, of course, they're going to. Can you just set the record straight, please, and so we can...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what I'll say is that I'm writing the book. Second of all is that the intended audience is for a lot of people that have never even gone onto UFO Twitter. What I will say, and I won't go into any more detail than this, is that the purpose of the book is going to be very, very apparent when it comes out. And I think people who know me are going to be like, that clever guy. People who don't know me are going to probably wind up having to eat some of their words. It's funny to watch social media and people go way out on a limb and start making speculation, wild speculation. It's a money grab. It's pay for play. Okay, well, think that if you want to. But when the book comes out and people really go, they read it and go, holy crap, this makes sense. Now we understand why you did the way you did it when you did it. Will they apologize? No. They'll just, they'll go hide in the little deep dark corners of Twitterverse and maybe change their name or something. But I'm used to it. For the last 3-4 years, I've been used to people always accusing me of one thing. They're never happy, no matter what you do for them, no matter how you do it. You've just got people that are sharpshooting you. They're throwing rocks. I don't know why that is. It's sad. Yeah. I really hope that those type of people find whatever peace they're looking for. But if there's one thing, my track record speaks for itself. People should know me now at this point that I'm not a money grab kind of guy. I do things very deliberately, very strategically. And again, I think the book is going to serve a very specific purpose. And I think people are going to be delighted when it comes out. That's where we are with that. I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. Sure. But I think it's going to be very, very eye-opening. And I think people are going to come back and say, holy cow, wow, that was exactly the way to do it. And by the way, it's my narrative. So, when I sit there and I do an interview on a major news media, these are like 2 to 3 minute sound bites. Yeah. And it's not, and by the way, I don't control their editing. This is my narrative from my perspective without any filter. You get to read exactly how I feel about every single thing about this topic moving forward. And there's going to be some information in there that I do not normally have the liberty or the time to discuss. There's going to be a lot in there. But again, there's a very deliberate reason why I'm chosen to do this. And I think it will be very, very clear once the book is out. And that's all I'll say.
So I think that's pretty interesting. Elizondo laid out his motivation for writing the book. He underscores it's not a money grab. I think the money grab hypothesis is kind of silly. First of all, the money grab hypothesis, at least to me, only really works if he's intentionally creating a UFO narrative that he knows is untrue. I mean, he left a lucrative job for the government that had a lot of amazing benefits, as anyone knows that understands the nature of those jobs. And he basically went up against, at least as I perceive it, the national security state. The national security state wants us to believe there's nothing to see here. UFOs are just air trash and drones and misidentifications and glitches in the radar systems. Elizondo came out and said, no, boo, no, boo, no, boo. He said, nah, son, they real. He said, they real. He said some of these UAP far exceed any known technology on this planet. He said that way back in the New York Times article. Right from the genesis, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a money grab. You want to say he's delusional? You want to say he's not wrapped too tight? That's a better hypothesis than a money grab. Last time I checked, people who get into the UFO sphere, they're not living in on 50-acre parcels with 20,000 square feet houses and 3 Lamborghinis. Last time I checked, but maybe it's changed in the past few weeks. Who knows? He also said that when it comes out, people are going to be like, "Oh, you clever guy! Now this makes sense. Now we understand why you did that and when you did that." Well, you know, what has Elizondo's mantra been from day one? That the people have a right to know about the nature of their reality, that you should not classify facts about the universe. So I anticipate that his book is going to further that effort to help put the government in a position where they can't put the genie back in the bottle. I mean, I don't think they can anymore anyways, but he's going to make it even harder. I don't know what's in his book per se, but I think his book is going to put further pressure on the national security state to stop the nonsense. I mean, David Grusch came out in July of this year, and one of his claims was that the U.S. government engages in active campaigns to lead Americans and all 8 billion humans on this planet astray when it comes to UFOs. I don't think Elizondo's playing, and I think his book is going to serve a really important purpose. In fact, he said that. He said it's going to serve a very specific purpose, and he said you'll be delighted when it comes out. You're going to hear his narrative from his perspective without any filter. I hope it's good. Maybe it will suck. How would I know? But in fairness to Mr. Elizondo, if we look at the past 6 years from when he came out of the government, this has only gone in one direction, has it not? This has only escalated. There have been escalations after escalations after escalations. And oh, by the way, Mr. Elizondo said on Twitter very recently that efforts that have been occurring behind the scenes are going to materialize in the beginning, if not the middle of next year. I'm optimistic. I'm trying to open people's minds. I'm trying to make them more skeptical and better critical thinkers, believe it or not, which is not to suggest that I don't have flaws in my thinking process. But I'm going to call it like I see it and make the best argument I can. So the following quote is actually from the December 16th, 2017 New York Times article that was titled "Glowing Auras and Black Money, the Pentagon's Mysterious UFO Program." Now, for a very long time, it's not quite as popular now as it was, maybe because people have come to their senses. But for a very long time, people were throwing Lue Elizondo under the bus. They were making completely unsubstantiated proclamations that he's a disinfo agent, that he's trying to create this quote-unquote big UFO threat narrative, that he's trying to lead us astray. And this is my favorite one, that he is contributing to a limited hangout. These mantras from people that think everyone else is a sheep but them, in my opinion, all these mantras failed. And yet these people who got on the rooftop and screamed these mantras thought, oh, I'm the adult in the room, I'm the smart guy, everyone else is a sheep. No, you got it wrong, in my opinion. And I never bought into any of these narratives, even from the beginning. I always like, no, let's think things through. This is actually not where the evidence leads. And I'm not saying that I know that Elizondo's not a disinformation agent. How would I know? I'm saying the evidence doesn't support that. Even going back to that December 16th, 2017 New York Times article, it was made crystal clear the philosophy that Elizondo was running on. And I quote, in the interview, Mr. Elizondo said he and his government colleagues had determined that the phenomena they had studied did not seem to originate from any country. That fact is not something any government or institution should classify in order to keep secret from the people, he said. I think Elizondo is anti-tyranny, anti-tyrannical government. And that's why he went up against the national security state, because he didn't want this cover-up to persist, because he's a man that believes in freedom. Not because he's a disinformation agent or he's creating some kind of false flag threat narrative. And by the way, on November 12th, 2023, Politico dropped an article titled, "Are Aliens Real? We asked the Pentagon's outgoing UFO chief." And here is a citation from that article. Seligman, "Are aliens real?" Kirkpatrick responds. That is a great question. I love that question. Number one, the best thing that could come out of this job is to prove that there are aliens, right? Because if we don't prove there are aliens, then what we're finding is evidence of other people doing stuff in our backyard, and that's not good. So just add this onto the ever-increasing pile of evidence that the U.S. government has not been, nor are they currently in the process of creating a huge threat narrative. Many people believe that Sean Kirkpatrick is part of the cover-up. And so if he's really that dialed in with the national security state, with the Department of Defense, then why didn't he use that opportunity to say, oh, you know, if it's aliens, that's really scary. I sure hope it's adversaries. He said the converse of that. And I think I made a very persuasive article in my last Medium article where I underscored that the U.S. government has been doing the opposite of creating a threat narrative in many respects. Their whole shtick is to downplay UFOs. They don't exist. They're air trash. They're radar malfunctions. They're misidentifications. And they go out of their way to showcase sightings and footage that they can resolve, as opposed to focusing on the stuff they can't resolve. So no, I'm sorry. The actual evidence points in the direction that the U.S. government has no intention of creating a huge threat narrative. But they clearly, based on the evidence, have every intention to downplay the phenomenon and give the impression that it's not a big deal and there's nothing to see there. Now let's go over some of the arguments that have failed that were being trumpeted right around when the December 16th, 2017 New York Times article published, and a little whiles afterward. But I think a lot of these arguments have lost steam. Much fewer people are trumpeting these arguments, and I think it's because they're just not as persuasive anymore, and also potentially because the people that trumpeted them years ago have finally come to their senses that they were wrong. One of those arguments was, this is all a limited hangout. No, it wasn't a limited hangout, not even remotely. Everything Lue Elizondo has brought into motion, right, has led to where we are now, which is David Grusch, former Army Colonel Carl E. Nell, current employee of NASIC, I think his name is Jonathan Gray, and they're all saying, oh yeah, crash retrievals, that happens. That's not the limited hangout by definition. So the people that trumpeted that, you were wrong. I'm sorry, you were wrong. And that never was the case, and clearly is not the case. Number two, false flag alien invasion. The government's creating this huge threat narrative. I'm sorry, the evidence does not back that up. Could things change at some point? Sure. But we're 6 years into this now. And so at least during this duration, there's no evidence to support that contention. And then another argument is Elizondo's a disinformation agent. Oh, maybe he is. But the question isn't what's your opinion or what's your gut feeling or what does your guru tell you. The question is, what does the evidence depict, mother? Ooh, I almost went into a bad place. You see that? I'm a flawed humanoid. I don't want to talk like that. The evidence depicts that Elizondo is not a disinformation agent. He's just trying to facilitate transparency from the government. And the last thing I think I'll say is that I'm really impressed with David Grusch, right? The way he talks about the phenomenon, from my perspective, he does it in a very objective way. He's not like on one side of the spectrum where you hear like it's all love and light. He's not on that side of the spectrum. And he's certainly not on the side of the spectrum where it's all like they're out to get us. He kind of has a very nuanced take. And at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion. And some of us have more information than others. So let's just kind of be open-minded and maybe acknowledge that none of us have the ultimate answers. And that's what we need to find out. What's going on? Let's cover some serious allegations made about AARO, the office in the Pentagon that's researching UFOs. Rogue UAPTF writes, and he wrote this on November 12th, AARO is a flypaper operation designed to shield a couple of very specific CIA, DOE, Air Force, and NGO operational recovery, reverse engineering, and advanced technology programs from would-be whistleblowers. They even have a website where would-be whistleblowers can blow away, but only about unclassified things like their favorite color and what they had for breakfast. The limited interviews AARO has conducted were conducted without recordings or transcriptions on purpose. Instead, the AARO staff took intentionally poor notes, stripped out any information that would compromise these programs, then dumped each interview down into tepid MFRs. These MFRs will be the source of AARO's historical review. I am intimately aware of specific information provided in person to Sean, which unequivocally closes the door on the notion that AARO has found no evidence. Though to be fair, AARO is, by design, really bad at finding things. Sean Kirkpatrick was brought in to fail, and he had handlers to ensure he did so. These handlers include senior CIA officers and program managers from private corporations. They have been named to the appropriate congressional committees, and they will be held to account. As AARO prepares to release Volume 1 of their historical review just in time for the holidays, know that it is a wolf in sheep's clothing. The real holidays are coming at DOD AARO. Matthew Pines quote tweets Rogue UAPTF's allegations and writes, a current very high clear DOD SES recently confided to me that AARO is entirely a disinformation activity designed to cover and distract, with no qualms about misleading Congress. This person also indicated they were recently given a skiff briefing on this Grusch stuff. Further follow-up. Matthew Pines writes, underneath that initial tweet, to clarify, the they in the last sentence refers to my source. Troy Cross responds, seems Congress should investigate if so. Matthew Pines responds, they should, but seems most would rather punt it to the UAP Review Board next year and declaim any further responsibility. Mike Colangelo reminds us what to look forward to within the remainder of this month, which I have titled Numinous November. He writes, big week for UFO news. Here are three major things that will be happening this week. 1, Sean Kirkpatrick will be answering audience questions on Wednesday, November 15th at the Hayden Center, UAP, The Search for Clarity. Live stream will be here on YouTube. 2, ICIG SCIF meeting with members of Congress, Thursday, November 16th. 3, the Soul Foundation Conference at Stanford University, November 17th through 18th. Carl Nell and Lue Elizondo are going to be speaking, among many others. Invite only, and videos of the talks will be released at a later date. As previously reported, Eric Davis won't be there, unfortunately. I think the last thing I'm going to share in this video is an apology video I made for my Twitter followers because I goofed on the blurb that was advertised to be associated with Elizondo's book, but ultimately wasn't. And just to give you some context with the video that I'm about to share you that I made for my Twitter followers, at 10:20 a.m., I wrote, just a heads up, you will need to prepare your soul today. And as of right now, it's approaching 100,000 views. And here is what I wrote when I dropped my very special Twitter video to apologize sincerely to all my Twitter followers. I wrote, "Dear UFO Twitter, I royally messed up. I'm so sorry. Shame on me. Please accept my apology in this video." And now you're going to watch this video. Can you believe it? I was in the middle of making a video about the book Blurb, only for James Iandoli to rain on my parade and inform me the blurb's false. Thanks, James. I hope you feel real good about yourself. In my moment of despair, I retreated to the disclosure cave and came to the realization that we must turn lemons into limonada and that the show must go on. You better believe I'm still going to publish a video today. Nothing will stop me now. Sadly, it will be somewhat about the hoax that I fell for. Hey, it was on Booktopia. I didn't realize someone would stoop to such levels. Boy, was I wrong. Although in fairness, I wasn't totally certain it was authentic either. But I'm going to focus on the positive. I'm going to make a beautiful video today, even as fate strived to work against me. What do you say? What do you say? Yeah, let's do this, baby. Let's do this. Oh, and one more thing. When I said prepare your soul a few hours ago, I was just referencing that I'm going to publish a video today. Isn't that what I always say on days I publish my video? Please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You can become a YouTube member. You can give me a one-time donation. All those possibilities can be accessed in the description box below, or you can just slap a like on this bad boy and I will appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.